So I've got here a little game called the Game of Life. It's not really a game; it's more of a simulation. But the idea is we have a grid of cells, and this grid will evolve with time based on some sort of rules on each cell and the cells around it. So in this case, if we have a cell, if the cell is on, it has to have either two or three neighbors to stay on. So this has two, this is three, this is two, this is three. And for a dead cell to become alive, it needs to have exactly three neighbors. So this will come alive, that will come alive, and that will come alive, and can kind of step. And the computer can figure it out faster than I can, so it can kind of just watch it evolve, and it reaches a stable state. And there are a couple different states that it can reach towards the end. So, for example, it can either reach a stable state, like this square. Like if we step through time, it doesn't change at all. It can repeat to forever, which is what's going on here, or it can kind of just die off. So, which will happen based on a certain starting pattern. You don't really know. You kind of just have to step through with and see what happens as it goes on. But yeah, so you can kind of push this super duper far. So this guy made a computer in the Game of Life, because you can kind of have like AND gates, OR gates out of these. And keep in mind, this is the same like three rules that are in this simulation. And he made a computer out of it. This guy made a clock out of it. So if we step through time, it kind of like changes the number that it's displaying. And maybe it's a little hard to see. I think YouTube compression's taken it out, but there's like little signals being sent from these controllers into here, into these nodes that tell these to either activate or deactivate, which is pretty dope. But this kind of like cellular automata idea. So a cellular automata is the proper name for this, just because like each of these cells is processed, I guess you can say, automatically based on the three neighbors around it, or the eight neighbors around it. But it's not really limited to eight. You can also do three. So in this case, I found a website that had a whole bunch of like rules for three, and the idea is each cell looks at only the three above it, and based on its pattern of where they are, it either turns on or off. So this pattern, it's a little inverted, so my white is their black, but the idea is the same. And if I just hold it, it kind of like reaches a stable state. And it, like, no matter where my mouse is, like each time step, it'll kind of copy the triangle into the space below it, which is pretty dope. So I have another rule here called 30, and it comes up with a different shape, but it's it's the same like stable thing, and it still follows the mouse as well, which is pretty dope. So another 8 connect rule that I found was it's pretty dope. So this one I found randomly. I just kind of did whatever. I literally just filled the rule set with random numbers to see what would happen. So if we fill this with a starting seed of just a 2x2, in the Game of Life it would have just been a stable state, but here it kind of like grows, and it actually becomes a pattern that grows on for as long as you go. So if I just keep stepping, it'll keep growing, and I can let it just grow and reach the edges, which is pretty cool. So this kind of automata deal isn't limited to like 8 and 3 and either on or off. You can kind of bend the rules a little bit. So this is a sand automata, and the way that this works is each cell either moves down, or if it can't move down, it either moves down left or down right. And you can kind of like reach an animation like this. but I tried doing it, and I'll kind of explain later why exactly it didn't work for me. But I think it's really cool how, you know, it's not just, you know, this novel idea of, you know, ooh, cool pattern, wow. It actually has applications. So what this guy did is he used that sand automata, and he made some modifications to it, so it kind of like skipped some steps so you can get some gaps, and cut out some frames, and he made death animations for his video game, which is, I mean, that's dope. And this guy took this cellular automata idea and made it water. So each cell here has more state than just on or off. It has like volume, velocity, pressure, whatever, and it has like a grid-based simulation of water. And it's just the same cellular automata idea, just, you know, bent and like beaten and whatever to do that. And I think it's really cool how you can just, you know, modify it and it like becomes art almost, which is really cool. So a little bit more about this little demo project. So this is actually a recreation of one of my like oldest programming projects. So one of my, I think it was like fourth or fifth project that I ever finished was a little 64 by 64 simulation of this, and it already ran slow as hell because you have to check each one and all of its 8 neighbors and whatever. So I couldn't really push it much further than that. But in this case, I've made GPU shaders. So if I pull out my code, I can like push this super duper far. So 8192. So this is a 8192 by 8192. Reload the page. You can see it doesn't look that massive, but let me get 100 by 100, and no matter how many pixels are turned on, no matter, you know, it could be all of them, it still runs at the same frame rate at the top, which is really dope. So the other one that I had, it would kind of exploded by now. And if we do some quick calculations on how much it's doing, 8192 times 8192 times 4 bytes per pixel divided by 2 times 10 to the 9 bytes per gigabyte. So we're looking at 134 megabytes that it's processing every single frame, and it's doing that 45-ish frames per second in your browser, which is pretty dope. And this kind of simulation, I mean, I don't have too many rules built in, but I mean, I can, you know, add more, but I think it's kind of like where it is right now because most of the limitation is the GPU shader. So I was saying how this couldn't be done in the GPU shader because GPUs are parallel, and in each time step of the sand animation, each grain of sand depends on where the other grains of sand are going in this simulation. So you'll kind of get race conditions where different parallel processes might put a pixel where it shouldn't, and then you'll like lose some pixels, and then you'll cry. I mean, I know I've tried, but yeah, I think it's cool how Automata can you know, kind of evolve, but I think like this project is kind of like limited in what it can do, but I don't think I still think Cellular Automata is super duper cool. Anyways, that was my project. Yeah. Thanks for checking it out.